Tattum reading books. The Tattum reading books correlate with the Tattum reading program, which pretty much follows a standard orton-gillingham sequence with processing as described in the latest research, along with the insights of Dr. Shaywitz in overcoming dyslexia. Our first pre-K program just begins with 4 consonants and 1 vowel. The book's called The Cab. So very primitive. That's how we'll start with the child. We'll teach the 4 consonants and a vowel. And we use movements for that. This is the second book in the series. Notice it has more consonants and the same vowel. So we do consonants and 1 short vowel. Then the kindergarten series deals with a short vowel in 2 books. Notice that there's more text. This would not work unless you do pressure release, as mentioned in the previous videos. Pressure release is what makes my whole program work, okay? So this is the kindergarten program. Our first grade program starts again with short vowels and consonants, but all the short vowels and consonants, and it moves through other books that deal with that, called The Trip, and then it'll teach things like silent E, the drive-in, and then the R family like stars. There's a book for everything, and that's the first grade series. And it goes from first grade actually to 5th grade when you finish book 26. So again, if you are knowledgeable in phonics or Orton series, this may be something you're interested in. The next is kind of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and they're real feisty books. I wrote them for feisty kids. And our short vowel book is The Rocks, and it's about these rocks that hit and plants come out and attack buses and things. And it's kind of wild stories, short vowels and consonants. Later on, they'll get The Night Beast, which deals with the difficult vowel teams, but it kind of goes through the whole code. And it starts at 1st and goes to like 6th grade. The last book is Rough Riders, which is a really tough book. That's written in 6th. Then we have what's called Tales of Mystery. And Tales of Mystery has higher language. It's for kids that are pretty sharp, pretty good in language, but just have some phonics issues. And it starts again at 1st and goes to mid-5th, but it moves quickly. There's less books, more of a story. It's kind of based on Chronicles of Narnia, but there's this cloud world where these animals exist. And there's an evil weasel who comes down to earth. But they're a fun story, but high linguistically. I only use this with kids who have pretty good language. My most popular series is Moonlight Tales and Sunlight Tales. This is a full reading series. It's, it's kind of like the old Nancy Drew mystery series, the Hardy Boys. Dr. Elf and George and John are in this series. And it starts again with short vowels and consonants at the 1st grade level. And there's great illustrations that are drawn. All the books have illustrations. Ghost Ship is dealing with VCCV rule. And again, cool illustrations. My sister did all the illustrations. I wrote the books. This is written about the 2nd grade level. Each book is raising grade level, usually about a grade level. So then French Quarter Phantoms dealing with what's called the VCV rule. And again, there's cool stories. And it goes all the way up through Caribbean Crisis, which is written between kind of the average reading level of adult, between 6th and 7th grade. Much tougher text, interesting pictures. Okay. This was written with feisty boys in mind, but a lot of girls like it. I also wrote a series recommended by some of my female participants in my workshop, and they told me the concepts they wanted in them, and I pretty much included them. So, at this book here, Rathtrup, a girl is taking over as a leader when this crash occurs and people are in this river, and this woman takes over and kind of helps them to safety. This is a traditional, it's a closed syllable short vowel book about this gal who has some issues when she's going to go to this dance with Big Bop and the Tops. And Beach resort is more of a traditional going to the beach and meeting a boyfriend or girlfriend. So this goes up to 6th grade. I often recommend that when you finish with that, you do 2 books from the Moonlight tales. This one, first Ocean Woman, which is before this, and this one. Ocean Woman is the most popular book of my Moonlight. So Moonlight and Sunlight are really good for upper elementary, all the way through high school. Then I have a historical fiction series. Starts with the beginning with cavemen and moves all the way up to the life of Ben Franklin. But it talks about Greece and Rome and the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, etc. It starts at 1st grade and goes to 10th. Then we have the life of a student with dyslexia. It's kind of a summary of every child I work with. Every chapter changes reading level. So like the first chapter is dealing with very simple syllables, 1-syllable words, etc. And the last chapter is dealing with very sophisticated words. Very sophisticated book. This last chapter is a technical look. When the child eventually learns to read and becomes a reading tutor, it's a technical look at what is dyslexia, what are the problems. So it's informative. This is a good book for parents to read as well. And the last is the Nazarene Series. And this was written with probably the most time involved. It basically, for most of the parts throughout the series, whenever Jesus speaks, it's actually quotes from the New Testament. The only variation of that is the years where we don't know what happened in his life, from really like 13 to 30. And there I take what is known about his sayings and incorporate them in a story where he's a carpenter. But pretty much it's follows. This is probably for more liberal Christians, and it's a multiple perspective book. So one book will be, and by the way, it follows the phonics sequence exactly. So the first book is Men Were Bad and God Was Sad, all short vowels, and moves from there to adult reading. And it's multiple perspective. Like one book is what do the apostles think about Jesus, this amazing guy. Another is Greek scholars coming in to observe and what they thought and compared his work to Plato. To what did the angelic host think about him and when they saw darkness start to appear in the apostle. So this is an excellent series if you're interested in that area. The books after Tales of Youth, the 1st grade series, pretty much follow. Cleaning up the consonants and short vowels is book 1. Book 2 is usually 2-syllable words that fit this VCCV rule. Book 3 is dealing with the VCV rule. Then we'll go into Our Family, then diphthongs, and then a book will deal with 2 vowels go walking, first does the talking. Then a book will deal with the more difficult teams. And then the book will deal with endings. So this is a little more sophisticated program. You can find these books on my website.